Hey, welcome to Big 12 Football Media Day on the Monty Show. How the heck are you? We are live at AT&T Stadium in Dallas with our good friends at BladeHQ.com and Big O Tires. And Nelson Caesar is going to sit down. How are you, man? Good to see you. You know, the interesting thing about these events, and I'm curious what you think. Like, how big are these events? Like, is it one of those things where you're ready for these things? Like, how do you feel about stuff like this?
I think it just depends on the type of person and what you like to do. Like if you're a real talkative, like me growing up, I never was a real talkative guy, so I actually caught myself kind of practicing a little bit, or at least just kind of watching some past interviews and seeing what I feel like I could have done better. So
But you learn from this stuff. I mean, I think when you look at the way these things generally go, you either thrive in these situations or you struggle in these situations. Do you enjoy the big lights? I mean, by the way, you're kind of in a big,
yeah. I mean, like me personally, I just feel like I'm a football player at the end of the day. I mean, so I really wouldn't just down myself or get upset at myself if I just did bad in the media, because at the end of the day, I'm gonna make my money, you know what I'm saying, on the field. So that's how I feel. Yeah.
See, and I think one of the interesting things about that, though, is that's perspective.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, I think that's one of those things that people struggle with a lot. And I think when you play at the level that you play at, and you guys are taking a big step up this year, this is a huge year for you guys. I think, like, how difficult is it for you to have perspective going from an AAC to the Big 12, making that jump? Is perspective difficult?
I mean, I feel like it's football, bro. Somebody just asked me the same question earlier. It's football. Football is football. It don't matter what league you playing in. Football is football. If you go in, you watching film and you studying your film, at the end of the day, you're gonna do the best. Like you're gonna play the best that you can be.
Football is football.
Right.
See, now I think that's a great standard pat answer. But is the speed not different? Because everybody's talked about this. Hey, it's the Big 12. Everybody's expecting you guys to have a difficult season. And now you're sitting in front of me telling me football is just football.
So I heard the saying that said hungry dogs run faster.
Yep.
So I mean, I think it just depends on who wants it more at the end of the day. If you go back to our 12-2 season, we played Auburn and we beat Auburn in the game that I'm sure a lot of people thought that we would have lost.
Yeah.
So like I said, football is football. Like it doesn't matter who's in front of us. Like I'm sure you didn't think that LSU would have lost to Troy in that homecoming game, but they did.
Well,
so I'm just saying, like football is football, and anybody can be beat on any given Saturday or Sunday.
I would agree with that 100%. Talking to Nelson Caesar from Houston on the Monty Show, thanks to our friends at BladeHQ.com. So, are you guys getting the respect you deserve? I mean, obviously, when you're 20-7 in the last 2 years, you played a huge part in that. Like, do you feel like Houston's getting the respect it deserves?
To tell you the truth, I really don't pay too much attention to the media, but I mean, I would expect not. I wouldn't expect them to respect somebody. Like you wouldn't respect anybody that you don't know, that you haven't seen anything from. So why would you respect somebody? But I feel like that'll really play in our favor if you don't respect us. So
perspective.
Yeah.
And that's really impressive because I don't get that answer a whole lot. Generally, when we're talking to people, we hear a lot about disrespect, or we hear a lot about, hey, we deserve. Is that more of a, hey, we deserve what we've earned type of thing? Or
because like you said, we're moving to a new conference, and those guys have won Big 12 championships. They've won actual championships. Some of them have competed for national championships. I don't think anybody in the AAC has done anything like that, or at least in the recent years. So I feel like you say, it's respect is earned. It's not given.
What has David Agwebu been like for you as a new teammate? What has he brought to the locker room?
I'm not gonna lie, like David Agwebu, so I just got considered to be a captain. So but I know coming from Oklahoma that he was a captain. So sometimes I just come up there sometimes and I just kind of ask him like, hey, what do you think about, in which way can I be like the best captain that I can be? Just because I go back and watch games, like I just like to watch film in my extra time, and I just watch the TV copy of games.
Right.
And so I listen to what the commentators say about him, and they really think about him like pretty highly. So I just go back and just try to try to get some insight from him, on how I can be a better leader and player.
Well, and I think one of the things that stands out about you very clearly is you're around the football. I mean, you've made plays. Like, what's the next step for you? Because you're a guy that you're around the football, you're causing turnovers, you're recovering fumbles. Like, obviously, those are the highlights that everybody knows and everybody talks about. So, what are you working on? What's next in your game?
So when you say next in my game, you mean like
what do you want to do better? What do you want to grow at? What
okay,
is there something that do you do things like that? Do you identify things that you want to improve on?
Most definitely. I feel like if you ain't getting better, you're either staying the same or you're getting worse. So me personally, I know I want to play heavier. I want to play around 255. I know I ended the season, I was pretty light last year because I was getting a whole lot of reps.
What did you end at?
I ended at probably like 230 something.
Wow.
I started at like 245 and I ended like at 230. Like last year was my first year like really playing, like starting games. Like that was my first year doing stuff like that. So but I mean I know I want to play heavier, and I feel like that'll help me really take my game to the next level as far as setting the edge a lot firmer.
Yeah.
You know, speed to power. I know that's something that I really need to evolve, add into my game a lot more, because everybody knows I can speed rush, but take that speed rush away. Now what are you going to do? So now I need to play heavier so I could do that. That right there, or I'll probably say watch a lot more film and live in the treatment room, man. Now I know I got to live in the treatment room, dog.
Well, you know what? That's a lot of weight. But if it's the right weight, it's not that much weight, right?
See, that's what everybody says. Everybody said that's a lot of weight. That's a lot of weight. But I mean, I've played at 255 before, and that's when me personally I felt my most dominant. So,
dude, you would be a monster at 255.
Yeah, I feel like that's the weight for me, dog.
My God, like, is it hard for you to keep weight on? Because if you're losing 15 pounds in a season, is that a nutrition thing? Is that how do you keep that weight on?
I feel like it's just me working on consistency. I don't feel like it's more of a nutrition thing. I feel like it's just me knowing my daily habits and what it is that I need to do. I need to wake up a little earlier so I can eat breakfast before I go work out.
What time you get out of bed?
Man, I'm not gonna lie, it varies some days, but majority of the time I try to get out of bed like 6:30.
Wow. So you're an early guy.
Well, yeah, I mean, I gotta eat breakfast. You know, I like to press snooze a couple of times. So, like I said, 6:30. I really got to be up by 7 though. Yeah, I got to be out to bed eating breakfast by 7.
But isn't it amazing when you don't hit snooze and you make the choice to get out of bed at 6:30?
Consistency, yeah.
That 30 minutes is huge.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, man, that's cool.
It's crazy. It's like you said, the 30 minutes is a long time when you're actually being productive, but 30 minutes of sleep is nothing. It's crazy though. It's crazy though, but.
Yeah, well, you are, you know, I researching you last night, sitting around, I was like, hey, the playmaker, stat guy, but you are really impressive. Like, you seem to have a certain presence about you. Thank you. We talk to a lot of dudes like you, and you have a certain presence. So, Nelson, good to meet you, man.
Yes,
Stay
sir.
healthy. Look forward to seeing you, man. Thank you. There you go. Off and running at Big 12 Football Media Days on the Monty Show. Man, I'm telling you, you know, one of the clubs we looked at was Houston last night. We spent a lot of time looking at Houston, and there is no question that Mr. Caesar is impressive. I think it is incredible when I have no idea what number you're on there. I think I'm 4. You're 4. Hello. Try that one.
Hello.
There you're 3.
Hello,
I'm
3.
4.
Hello.
See, we're getting used to it.
It's all the stuff.
But I think it's really interesting. We were sitting around last night talking about Houston, and you know, you bring a guy like Caesar out here who is very clearly one of their key contributors, and he's talking about, hey, football's just football, and he's talking about the fact that you know, they have energy, and he's talking about getting out of bed on time.
Yes.
He's talking about eating well. He's talking about playing at 255. And that's a guy, for those of you who don't know Houston football, that's a guy who is around the football. That's a guy that they count on to get to the quarterback. And it's fascinating to hear those guys talk about, hey, we are absolutely going to be working, you know, on gaining weight, being stronger, being faster, understanding that you can't do what you've always done because you're not in the AAC anymore. You're in the Big 12.
Yeah, I mean, when you're taking a jump like this, you know, into a Power 5 conference, into a situation where you're going to see better competition, you're going to see guys who are getting out of bed, you're going to see guys who are playing at 255, and I think that's what makes it so crucial to do those little things to put yourself in a much better position to have success. And I think it's so impressive, you know, when you get the kind of access that we're able to get with the players players and coaches that we're going to get today, it's great to hear them talking about like, hey, those are the little things I'm working on, because it's like we all struggle with that. Like nobody has an easy time getting out of bed. The alarm might go off and some people might do it and some people might not. But those folks who do it don't have an easy time with it. They're just on a mission. And I felt like he is on a mission. And I do think 255 is an outstanding weight for him. I do think you need as many guys like that and that kind of mindset. And I think Houston needs to make as best of an impression as possible headed into the Big 12.
Yeah, and I don't, by the way, I don't think there's any doubt. There's no way to sugarcoat the fact that they're going to you're hosting TCU really in your first toe into the water in the Big 12. You're hosting TCU. You're at Texas Tech. You're home for West Virginia, and then October 21st, it's Texas coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, we were talking to one of the Texas guys from Austin this morning, talking about, hey, there's some expectations, and he said, if I hear the words Texas is back one more time, I'm going to lose my mind.
Uh-huh.
So he's like the third guy we've heard say that already here in Dallas at AT&T Stadium. They're talking about how Texas is already overrated. They're they're having the conversations about the expectations around Texas.
Yeah, and I think the sitting here at AT&T Stadium, it's kind of the energy is building, and I think for Texas they're kind of experiencing this same sort of idea where it's like, hey, we've got a veteran head coach, we've got a lot of talent, we have everything that we need theoretically to have a bunch of success on the field, but we're Texas. We're known as the team who hasn't won a Big 12 championship since 2009. By the way, that's more than 10 years ago. So might want to figure that out. And I think that's one of the biggest things as they head into the SEC. What kind of impression can you make? I mean, look at all these people that you guys are seeing right now. I mean, this building, while it's huge and a wonderful building, you can feel the energy in here today. And I think that, there's that huge screen. How about that thing?
Look at that thing, dude.
How about that thing, bro? Like, come on, dude.
I mean, this joint is, I got to be honest with you guys, this joint is crazy.
Yeah.
You look at some of the stuff that's going on in this building, and you look at the way that the Big 12 has put this thing together.
Yeah.
It's remarkable that, and by the way, there we are. Hey.
Hello.
Hi. Good to see you, friends. It's amazing that we're in a situation where we're talking to the biggest names, and you've got to move down because it's making me crazy. We're off center.
Sorry.
But we're talking to some of the biggest names in the business here today. And I think one of the things that's so interesting really is this idea that football is different in the Big 12. And it's in preparing for these interviews and these conversations today. I think Houston's a very interesting club because you look at their battle with Donovan Smith versus Lucas Coley. I think that's a huge talking point for Houston. Dana Holgorsen being 20-7 in the last 2 years. And the question that I asked about, hey, is Houston getting enough respect? I think that's a very pertinent question. And I think the answer very unequivocally, no, they're not getting enough respect.
Yeah, I mean,
I just don't think that's a question anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the question for all four of these teams coming into the Big 12 this year. I mean, again, we're going to talk to all these guys, and I think a lot of these teams, obviously BYU, UCF, like Cincinnati and Houston, obviously, like we've been saying, have a point to prove. And yeah, I don't think Houston in particular is getting the respect they deserve. I mean, obviously they're making a jump into a Power 5, but I think that what people like to do is like say, oh, well, you guys are in a Power 5. That means you guys are, as Nelson said, you guys are playing at 220, right? And we need to be playing at 255. It's that kind of thing where it's like, these are good football teams. And when the Big 12 kicks off and that first rep happens, right, we're going to see just what the difference is. But I'm telling you guys right now, there is not a massive difference between, Sark and some coach just coming into the conference, right? Like, absolutely. These guys have the same ability. These guys do all the same things. It's just a matter of playing under bigger lights and bigger situations. And for me, I just think that it's I'm not going to say it's disrespectful to an extreme degree, but I do think we shouldn't be unfair to these guys. Like,
not at all.
These guys deserve a proper chance.
Well, and I think one of the main themes today, and if you look at the some of the names that are on the roster today, the BYUs, the Houstons, again, not to be redundant, Dana Holgorsen's a guy at Houston. It's 20-7 in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
You're not going to have that level of success.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be able to, and this is just my opinion. I don't believe that Houston is going to necessarily struggle, but you would think that if you look at West Virginia, that should be a win. I would expect Houston to win the West Virginia game, especially knowing it's in Houston. But I start looking at Dave Aranda and Baylor, and I say to myself, Houston's going to have a tough time going to Waco and winning. I think that's absolutely going to be a struggle. I look at their road games. UCF is one of the most difficult places to go and play. There is no doubt about that. So when we start looking at Houston, and we start looking at some of these 4 new teams coming into the league, there are a lot of difficult places to go. But I'm warning you now, if you think going to UCF, because they're one of the 4 new ones, if you think going to UCF is going to be some easy win, I'm here to tell you it's not. That place is Gus Malzahn and what they've done in that program. That as a home field advantage is one of the most underrated home field advantages in college football. And the weather's always an issue there. Like, I think that Houston's got some real difficult spots, some tough outs on their schedule. But I think I would expect Houston with their defense, and again with David Ugwebu joining that roster from Oklahoma, there's no reason that defense can't be playmaking.
Yeah, and I think that for their defense, their whole mission is going to be to create chaos. I mean, again, if you're coming into a Power 5 conference and you're going to see the best of the best in the Big 12 on a regular basis, you need to be trying to turn the football over as much as possible. So how do you do that? Well, you get bigger, you get stronger, you get faster, and you get more aggressive. And so I would not be surprised to see a team like Houston getting aggressive up front. Like, Houston's not going to sit back and wait for you to show them what they can do. Like, I would expect Houston to be getting after the football. And that's why I say, like, I'm telling you guys, this is going to be special in week 1 in the Big 12 because of realignment, because these new teams are coming in. I look at that first round of games, and it just is really exciting because it's like, man, these teams have a point to prove, and they have. It's just different. You know how it's like, hey, if you're in the Big 12 every single year, well, it's just another season, right? Like, yeah, obviously there's expectations, things we got to do, but ultimately, like we gotta make a good first impression. I'm a big believer in that, and also, when I look around at like Texas and Oklahoma, like it goes the same way. Like you got to finish your business in the Big 12, but you want to make a strong impression going into the SEC. So I think it goes both ways.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We're live at Big 12 Football Media Days in Dallas. On the field, we're like sitting in the end zone at AT&T Stadium. Pretty cool. It's all brought to you by our good friends at BladeHQ.com. BladeHQ.com, the best knives by the best knives makers. And, it's been really good working with the guys at Blade HQ, and I encourage you, my friends, if you have not been to BladeHQ.com, go check them out. Whether you're a knife enthusiast, an outdoorsman, a hunter, a fisherman, if you're just somebody that collects knives, they have everything that you need. And really, if you're somebody that's a camper, they've got outdoor gear. They've got clothing. They've got lanterns, battalion, you name it, they've got it. They've got a full line for the outdoorsman. And I know that we are coming into a really important time of the year in football season, but that also means, hey man, it's going to be cooling off in a lot of the country as I sit here in July sweating in the humidity in Dallas, but it's going to be cooling off and a lot more people are going to be fishing and hunting and camping. Make sure you're geared up. Make sure you got what you need at BladeHQ.com. Make sure you tell them you heard about it on the Monty Show. And again, as we look forward today, we should be hearing from the Texas Longhorns today. I think Texas is very interesting. Texas has not won the Big 12 since 2009. And if you're just tuning in, we were talking earlier about the fact that Texas is a team that is the talk of the town here in Dallas. Texas is that team that everybody's talking about. And hey, are the expectations well placed? I don't know if the expectations are well placed, but what I do know is Texas is massively talented. You have a ton of returning starters. You have 15 returning starters for this Texas Longhorns football team. They're remarkably talented.
Yeah.
And I think when you have that level of talent on the field and in the coaching office, I don't know how expectations can't be remarkably high.
Yeah, and I think that's see, like, to me, Texas has almost more to prove in a sense than a team like Houston or any of these teams coming into the conference, because Texas is one of those legacy brands. Like, whether they suck or whether they're really good, they're still Texas. They're still the top dog in the state and in the Big 12 for one more year. So to me, looking at Texas, I'm sitting here saying, hey, like, you guys got to live up to it. You guys gotta find a way to go ahead and push into the college football playoff. You got to be there in December when we're talking about national championships and when we're talking about, doing big things. Like, it has to happen, because if it doesn't, it's yet another year of disappointment. And you don't want to leave your conference and head to the SEC on a low note. That's just not the way you want to do it. You want to leave on a high note, win the conference, go to the college football playoff, start a new chapter in the school's legacy.
Yeah, I agree. There's a bunch of dudes standing around. Jake the Wrangler is going to head out and see what he can bring us. But a couple of things that I would say is, first of all, thank you so much for joining the stream. I do want you to know that obviously there's going to be some schedule differences today. We are here all day long. In fact, it is 9:39 in Dallas. And so if you're joining us from the East Coast, obviously we're going to be live and on and off until 6 o'clock tonight Eastern time, 3 o'clock Pacific time, 4 o'clock Mountain time, and whatever time it is in your world in Arizona. Okay, great. We should get some more Houston Cougars to join us here in a moment. But the thing that is very clear, and the thing that I want to make sure that everybody understands, is this is going to be a chaotic day. There's a lot of people coming and going. There's a lot of people that obviously are going to that are going to hop in here and the best offensive lineman in the Big 12, in my opinion, is going to join us. Let's go. Patrick Paul joins us. Thank you very much. Jake, can you just pick up that microphone? Let's just talk about expectations. Obviously, you're a guy that there's a lot of expectations on you. There's a lot of expectations on your club. How are you dealing with expectations? How has this summer been for you? Like, how's life treating you these days?
Let me start off by saying life's treating me great. I'm obviously blessed to be in the position I am. With expectations, it's kind of just noise. I've learned, it's really just noise. That's all it is. I think that the most important thing right now is for us to just, keep that chip on our shoulder and keep grinding towards the goals that we have.
Yeah, and obviously in the AAC you were first team. I mean, there was no doubt you've established yourself. What has allowed you to thrive? What has allowed you to grow as a player?
I would say great coaching. I'd say having some great teammates around me. The position of O-line, it's not just one person. I think the guys next to me, they help me every single year. And I'd say that just being coachable and learning how to grow as an offensive lineman helped me.
Well, and I would say the DNA is good too, because I'm a big dude and you're a bigger dude than I'm a big dude. You have some natural physical size. How are you physically, and where are you at? What are you trying to build on with your body?
I'm going to say right now I'm physically great. I'd say that where am I trying to build? At every aspect, honestly. Mentally is the most important part. But, being in the weight room every day is going to help as well. So,
well, and I think you're a guy, frankly, that is known as a pass blocker. You're a guy that, and I'll get this chair out from under your leg. You're a guy that's known as a pass blocker. I think arguably you are the best pass blocker in the country. When you look at that, are you somebody that wants to be known as an all-around guy? Are you somebody, because you clearly have a skill set that should lend you to pass blocking and run blocking. How do you feel about the reputation that's out there? How do you feel about the words that people speak about you?
I would say that, the pass blocking, they are right from what I've put on film. I think this year I'm trying to switch that narrative to be an all-around offensive lineman, because this year we're going to be driving dudes off the ball. So they're going to get that run blocking tag as well.
Well, but do you feel like you translate to the next level at left tackle?
Yes, sir.
Because that's a big deal. I mean, if we're being honest, that's a paycheck. I mean, there's a lot of dudes that have made a lot of money and are in the Hall of Fame doing the things that you have shown that you're capable of doing. I mean, those are big words. Those are a lot of expectations. And again, I hate to keep using that word expectations, but I mean, is that something that you expect of yourself? What are your aspirations?
Yes, sir. Those are my aspirations. All that what you just named, that's what I'm working towards, every single day. that's what I'm working towards.
You guys also, by the way, have an interesting situation at quarterback. I mean, obviously, you're bringing in a guy in Donovan that is new to the program. Like, what do you see in your quarterback battle? Do you have expectations? Not that you're going to tell me, but do you have expectations one way or the other?
I have zero expectations. That question, that might be for
my
head coach.
Yeah, but I mean, are there differences between Coley and Donovan? Like, what are the major differences for you?
I would say their size. I mean, one's big, one's kind of shorter, but I mean, they're both great guys. So.
That's very well answered. And let's talk about the bump up, because obviously you guys have, you're moving into the Big 12. The schedule, I feel like the schedule has played out very well for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at film and you're preparing for, do you guys look ahead at this schedule? And I know everybody says we got to keep it week to week, but do you guys look ahead at this schedule? Like, how are you guys preparing?
I would say, with the film study, if that's what you're asking, the film study is going to be, week to week, each week. But, when we get into fall camp, what we're going to watch starting fall camp would be UTSA. So just preparing for that first game. And each week we're going to keep on track and watch the film before, get ahead of it, get the blitzes right, get the defense scheme right, and, attack the week.
Houston offensive tackle Patrick Paul's our guest on the Monty Show, thanks to BladeHQ.com. By the way, UTSA is no easy out.
No.
And I know you guys know this. And I think they're one of those teams, not that I want to talk about UTSA, but when we talk about, hey, bumping up to the Big 12, you look at UTSA, I don't think Rice is going to be an easy out for you guys. Like every game on that schedule, and I don't care what conference affiliation it is, every game on that schedule is going to test you guys.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think you have to respect your opponent every week, regardless of who you're playing. So I think each week we're going to have the same approach and, attack the week. Yeah.
And real quick before I let you go, tell me about your head coach. I mean, Dana is a guy he's an interesting cat. I mean, you guys have had a lot of success over the last couple of years at 20-7. What's he like to play for?
I would say he's a great coach, honestly. Has a different coaching style, and, I just love him.
No, that's great. Okay, short and sweet. Patrick, good to meet you, man. Stay healthy. Good to see you. Best of luck, man. There you go. Patrick Paul from Houston, who, we put I appreciate that, man. We put a lot of time into that dude, because I do believe that he is one of the best left tackles in the country. And I think when you look at the growth and development that you're going to see in that program, and we talked about schedule, and I know on this show, you guys, we have talked a lot about UTSA. And I'm telling you, with the Houston Cougars, that schedule, a lot of people look at UTSA and Rice as, a quick start. I'm telling you right now that UTSA and Rice is not just some gimme game. No, that's not 2-0. You're going to have to work. And I think when you look at the anticipation and you look at the workload that is going into what Houston's trying to do to jump conferences, UTSA and Rice goes right into a primetime game, 7:00 on Fox on September 16th with TCU. And I think that is absolutely going to be a battle. And that game very well may determine the success early in this season, and not may will absolutely determine the success early in this season for the Houston Cougars. But again, I think the respect factor for Houston is a big question. Are they getting the respect they deserve? And what is it going to take? That TCU game is after UTSA and Rice. They get respect by earning respect against UTSA and Rice. And I think if you're a Houston fan, and I know we have a lot that listen to the show, I would encourage you to do the things that none of us really want to do, right? Which is take it one game at a time, because UTSA is I'm telling you, is not going to be an easy pass. It is not going to be easy. Let's get some of your comments in here live at Big 12 Football Media Days. Patrick Bourne, good to see you. Big 12 Media Days in the house. Indeed, we are. Good to see you guys. Would love to get some of your comments on Houston. I think what we saw there from Patrick Paul, I think Nelson Caesar and Patrick Paul are two of the most impressive guys we've seen today. So really looking forward to that. Truck Stop Gumby says, remote controlled cameras, Jerry's World, the Monty Show has done leveled up. Hey, man, when you come to Jerry World, you better be ready to go, right? So good to see you guys. Appreciate that. Everybody talking about the Jumbotron. Jerry World screen surpassed by the one at SoFi. Oh, the screen at SoFi Stadium, having seen that in person, dude, that thing is crazy. I absolutely agree with that. Boyd Lake, how the heck are you? Good to see you. Patrick Bourne saying, Jake wishing he had a headset. It's actually Jake. So you guys know that we're a self-contained shop here. Like, we don't have a showrunner. We don't have. So what you get is you get Jake dropping a microphone, going and getting Patrick Paul, or going and getting, Nelson Caesar. So really worked out. Yes, truck stop Gumby, by the way, it is. Division I football. To Masta says Dana Holgerson is going to struggle. I disagree. You look at the way his players have spoken, and you look at the fact that, hi, Jake. God dog it. You go again.
Hello.
Hi. I'm going to have to get used to
all
that.
right. Sorry.
Because we're usually
up,
1 and 2, and that's
up.
it. By the way, there's some like technical machinations going on.
Yeah, so quick little story here. So do your little camera thing here, little remote control.
Okay, you want me to do
so
what?
I want you to show people these tables here, kind of give people a lay of the land here. So see all these tables right here?
Mhm.
So every table has either an internet connection or basically facility to allow them to broadcast.
Yes.
And so the guy who runs that, the cable guy, was like, hey, someone, we need to run an internet cable here. So we have all this stuff kind of set up, like all our cables and stuff already.
Mhm.
And so we just had to kind of like run it under all of our equipment and everything. So just a bit of fun there. But we'll be getting Houston offensive lineman Jack Flaherty, I believe it is.
Okay.
I think it is.
Okay. Yes. Jack Freeman is who you're talking about.
I think we spoke to Nelson.
We spoke to Nelson. Yes, we did. Thank you, Houston. Appreciate that. Houston, we have no problems.
Yeah, we're good. We're good, baby.
And I'll tell you,
yeah,
not because they're standing right here, but Houston has been really easy to deal with.
Yes.
And it's nice that here on Radio Row at Jarrow World, AT&T Stadium, thanks to our friends at BladeHQ.com, one of the things that's really fascinating is that the school staffs are running around here and doing a great job. This is not an easy day for the PR departments, especially the Texases and the Houstons, because there's so much demand for guys like Jack Freeman, for guys like Nelson Caesar, who's one of the best linebackers, or your best offensive lineman, and Patrick Paul. But I disagree. I want to keep talking about Houston a little bit, because I know that there's been a lot of people talking about, hey, they're going to struggle. Am I telling you they're going to win 10 games? No, well, no, of course not. But I think when you look at Houston and you look at their schedule, I think they are better than UTSA September 2nd.
Yes.
I think they are better than at Rice on September 9th. TCU, that's going to be the game.
Questions at TCU, though. Questions at TCU.
Sure. And I think that's where we're really going to find out who TCU is and who Houston is.
Yes.
And how ready they are. But I also think David Agwebu is a huge ad for Houston, man. Like, that's a playmaker. That's a guy that at Oklahoma made plays and was around the football all the time. So when we talk about, hey, talent and the gap and the absolute jump that happens with these teams, when you go from the AAC and you go to the Big 12, the talent gap is what you're fighting for. That's what you have to find. And I think when you look at Utah back in the day, when they go to the Pac-12, you look at the way that they had to recruit up, they had to scale up their talent, and you begin to understand that man, this is not the easiest trick to turn. And so when you look at Houston and you look at the battle to get to the Big 12, and you look at the scale up that has to happen, come on in, have a seat. Jack Freeman's going to join us here from Houston to talk a little Cougs. Jack, one of the things we were talking about here was the talent gap. When you're jumping conferences, you're in the middle of the room. How big or how much, what's the talent gap between Houston and week 3 TCU? Somebody that's been in the conference, that's competing at a national championship level.
I think, the talent gap, personally, I feel like, we're all there. We just got to be a disciplined team and, take it week by week, focus on the opponents that's right in front of us. Eventually, we'll get there. And I think by that time, we'll be ready for, TCU or whoever we're facing that week.
Yeah.
I think we got a great group of guys. We had a great spring ball, workouts, off season. It's been going great. And, we're working hard. We're really excited for this season. It doesn't really matter where they, put us at, because all is, that's why Houston got the word us in it. It's all about us. It don't matter.
I love it. That's awesome. Nelson Caesar sat down here and said, ball is ball. It doesn't matter. Don't care who's on the other side of the line. Ball is ball. And you guys on this offensive line, obviously, you started 13 games last year. Like you're part of the continuity. You're part of that consistency. I think we hear a lot about chemistry. We hear a lot about, lines that play together. How important is it to understand intimately the guy next to you and what the expectation is?
Well, as an offensive lineman, especially, that's 5 guys for one, group. So that's been, in my opinion, I'm pretty biased, but I think that's probably the biggest position on the field.
Yeah.
You're protecting everybody. I mean, and it all starts with me. I'm the center. I got to snap the ball. I got to let the guys know what I'm doing, what they're doing to the left and the right. I got to let all 4 of the other guys know where they're going and where they'll be and put them in the right places to make sure that we can go to the right places, which is the end zone.
Yep.
But I mean,
right.
But I mean, man, honestly, like the biggest thing is making sure that, you know that you can trust the guy next to you. And by doing that, you have to do stuff outside of the football. You can't just be all about football all day. But that's not how you're going to get close to the guy next to you, because, that's why we're really close. We're really close offensive line. And we got a lot of older guys, which is really, really, really good.
Whoa, young guys. You're like older guys. Like, it's funny to hear you say that because you have experience, guys.
We have a lot of experience, but we have some, younger guys. We got a few transfers, bringing them along. They're really good. It's a really good group of guys. It really is. Coach Iman Nagavi, Coach Beach, Coach Shane Creamer. That's a really good group of guys that, we brought in, and, they put us in the right direction, and a lot of positive vibes, positive energy, which is what we really need, especially for this season. We're the new guys. We need a lot of positive reinforcement.
Yeah. By the way, your PR department just did a great job of bringing you some core water. So I see your guys running around here. Like, it seems like you guys, and talking to Patrick, who I think I could make the argument he's one of the best left tackles in the conference already today, right now, before he takes one Big 12 snap. But talking to Nelson, talking to Patrick, talking to you guys have an aura of confidence about you. Why and where does that come from?
I mean, that's just being confident. At the end of the day, it's you versus you. You got to understand that we were put in this position because, we have the ability to play at this level. And this is what we've been wanting, is the Big 12. This is where we're at, which is why we're so excited for the Big 12. And we can trust, like, the guy next to us. We can trust all other 10 guys that are on the field with you.
Yeah.
And, every day we're able to push each other and, push yourself because of how much the guy next to you wants it and makes you want it that much more.
You guys are 20-7 in the last 2 years. You obviously have momentum. How do you handle expectations? Because there's no question it's a step up on a weekly basis. I mean, the schedule that you guys have, I think, worked out really well.
Yeah.
But when you talk about expectations and you talk about the success you've had, how do you level those expectations? Do you feel like the expectations and the respect match each other? Do you feel like Houston football is getting enough respect coming into the conference?
I mean, personally, I feel like we're not getting as much respect as, we deserve, but it doesn't matter because, it's Houston. The biggest thing is having a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah.
That's what we always go by, playing with that chip. And that's okay because it don't matter who's in front of us. We know that we're going to dominate our opponent. Jack
Freeman from Houston's our guest. Thanks to our friends at BladeHQ.com. Before I let you go, Donovan Smith, Lucas Coley, obviously that is a huge talking point, a huge storyline. I don't expect you to tell me who it is or what, but what is it like having a quarterback battle in camp, especially for a guy that's a center, and that relationship is so critical for you?
I mean, just like I said, they're pushing each other. Donovan has experience, great. He's won games over at Texas Tech. That's awesome. We need that. Lucas, really great quarterback, very confident, learned under Clayton last year. And I mean, he's definitely really developed very well. And I mean, they're able to push each other every day.
Right.
Every day. You see it in the huddle, they come in there with confidence. Lucas calls the huddle, calls the plays. Donovan calls the huddle, calls the plays. It don't matter who's in the game. It don't matter who's at practice. They're both pushing each other, which is what we need. And I mean, that's how we're going to get to where we want to go.
Absolutely, man. Nice to meet you. Stay healthy. Appreciate your time. There you go. Houston, I'm telling you guys, I know. And it, again, not because they're standing here, but I'm telling you, we can say that, hey, Jack's talking about how they're going to win and how they're confident. I'm telling you now, this quarterback situation will resolve itself. And that offensive line, the depth and the quality on this offensive line at Houston, that is going to be the deciding factor. And when you listen to the confidence, that's 2 offensive linemen, the center and the left tackle, talking, and I don't even think being boastful I think when you listen to the Houston Cougars talk ball, there's no reason not to be incredibly confident, Jake, that they're going to be good.
Yeah, and I think that his answer about the quarterback competition is spot on. I mean, you have a competition in camp getting ready to go for the season. I mean, that just adds that extra fire that not that they necessarily need it, but it just adds that extra little edge that I think is what makes football great. I mean, I mean, as you said to him, I mean, 20-7 in the last 2 years, I think you said. Like, I mean, they're clearly rolling. I mean, it's excellent, it's outstanding. And so for me, I think Houston, I have to say, I mean, just from what we saw today, Houston's made a great impression on me so far. I mean, their guys are well spoken. They seem prepared. They feel ready to go.
They do.
Like, I think I'm not saying Houston's going to go out and win the conference or anything, but I do think that Houston's in a pretty solid spot for the path that they're on.
Well, and I also think, as we sit here, if we're being brutally honest, I mean, I would think if you're a Houstonian, you want to see Donovan Smith win that job. I would think. I mean, I think what you have in Coley. I think Donovan's a guy that obviously Texas Tech fans know all too well. But I think Donovan's a guy that you probably need Donovan to win that job.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but again, there's so much conjecture in that.
Right.
We haven't even played it down a fall ball yet. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's just a matter of time before that question answers itself. But I also think Dana Holgerson's a guy that not enough people are talking about. And I think it's one of those situations where, Dana's a guy that's got a lot of experience. He's a guy that's going to be maligned. He's never going to be the most popular coach in the room. He's not going to be Sonny Dykes, who I think is a beloved coach by everybody.
Right.
He's never going to have the pull that a guy like Sark has, because Sark's the head coach of Texas. He's got the burnt orange on, right?
Yep.
Right. I mean, you're never going to have that pull. But if you look at even just, Herman at Houston, or the unmet expectations of Texas, I think I could make that same argument about Houston.
Mm-hmm.
And now Dana's come in there and he's given Houston that breath of fresh air. He's given Houston the ability to breathe and not necessarily worry about what they look like every week on the field. And I think you look at the talent. I think you look at the development. It's gonna be awesome. Let's get some of your comments in here. Saul Goodwin says a cup with syrup lean should be the background.
Not sure what that means, bro.
Nah, bro.
Yeah, not sure what that means.
Horns and Sunny down. But I'm telling you, man. I am telling you,
the orange is starting to fill the field, bro.
It is. There's
Texas
a
is coming
lot
in here.
There's a lot of burnt orange chilling in the cut, bro. And you're starting to see the Longhorns hanging around now.
Yep.
So it's going to be interesting to see, because this place is starting to pick up now.
Yep.
And it was a little early. Everything started a little early. We're supposed to be starting right now, but we've already had 3 Houston Cougars on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is what happens. Like, all of a sudden you just kind of look around and all of a sudden the joint's lit.
Yes.
And you get the idea that that's what this is going to be about. I mean, you've got all kinds of folks here. You've got, all the national media is here. Some of the local media is here, which it's amazing this year that I thought there would be a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
A greater number of local media types hanging around, but there isn't, which is good for us. But I think it is really interesting, the atmosphere and the buzz that's in this building. So I'm excited about it. I think coming up today, by the way, on the schedule, Texas is supposed to be leading us off, by the way.
Yes, and they are beginning to do their interview circuit here, it looks like. So we should have them.
We should have them, and
soon-ish.
Soon-ish.
We're checking the schedule here.
And they're supposed to be right at 10, so we should see them soon. Yeah. But if you look at Texas, Quinn Ewers is here, Jordan Winningham, Xavier Worthy, Jaylan Ford, who I think he is an absolute stud. And Jahdae Barron, I also think he is so critical. Barron's got what I think is the best Texas Instagram picture on his Instagram account.
Cold, bro.
It is him. And I don't want to make too much of that, but it's him with this dead serious stare in a sea of Texas fans.
Yes.
And cold is the right word.
It's cold, bro. It's flat out cold.
It is. It is flat out cold. Yeah, Jake's gonna go start go hooking him horns, man. But I think it's interesting the question of, and on a yearly basis, and I know we do this every year and we shouldn't. On a yearly basis, is Texas back? Well, has Texas ever been back? That's the biggest question. I think expectations were clearly very difficult last year. I think you didn't meet expectations. I mean, you look at a lot of football in this state, you didn't meet expectations. You look at 2-5 from the Texas Longhorns in one-score games last year. You've not won the Big 12 Conference since 2009. You have 15 starters returning. All 5 offensive linemen are back. Jatavian Sanders looks like a guy that should absolutely be the beginning and the end of the world. And everybody still wants to know, hey, well, when is Manning going to start? Well, if you're a Texas fan, maybe they don't start at all, right? Maybe he doesn't start this year, and you probably don't want him to start this year. Because if Quinn Ewers is the guy, and if he's somebody that can play every snap of every game, Texas is better for it. And I know the hype, and I know what everybody says, but what everybody says usually is wrong. And I think when you look at Texas, and I think when you look at the 2-5 in one-score games, and you look at how good Ewers was against Bama, Oklahoma, Washington, you look at the fact that he is a big game quarterback. The question has to be asked, though, can he be a garden variety game quarterback? Can he be the guy who wins no matter who the opponent is, who carries the team no matter who the opponent is? That's the question that Texas is going to have to diagnose, because I think when you look at Texas and they start Rice, Bama, Wyoming, I think we all know what game we're talking about. I mean, they are going to boat race Rice. They're going to boat race Wyoming. The question is, can they beat Alabama? That game is at Bryant-Denny in Tuscaloosa. We all know what happened last year. Can they beat Alabama? That's the question. To do that, you've got to have continuity. They've got continuity on the offensive line. Quinn Ewers brings continuity under center. The other thing that I think we need to stop talking so much about is, well, how are you going to replace Bijan? Well, I mean, he's 3 deep at running back at Texas. That, to me, that is not a question that I would be all in on. Like, I think that's one of the questions low down the list. I need to know who Steve Sarkisian is. I need to know, is he a big-time coach? Is this a guy that's capable of leading the best team in the country to the top of the college football world? That's a question that I think has to be asked and answered, and we're only going to get that starting September 2nd, because I don't believe, and we can sit here and we can talk about Texas always disappoints. Great, cool. Those narratives are out there. They're going to remain out there. The bottom line is, talk to me on the 24th of November at like midnight Eastern. And then let's talk about what expectations were met or not met. Because I think the expectations of the Texas Longhorns this year are astronomical. They are through the roof. And you're never going to meet those expectations. You're never going to be able to live up to what the talking heads say you should live up to. The best teams don't care what they say. The best teams don't try. Because the best teams, frankly, I have a hard time believing that Nick Saban, tries to live up to what Paul Feinbaum says he should be doing at Bama. That I just don't believe that Nick Saban does. Hi, Jake.
Hello, friends. I'm back from wrangling Longhorns.
How are we doing?
Quinn Ewers is in the building.
Nice.
Quinn is very busy today.
No.
Would never have known that. I know that's surprising. So we may or may not be
Will
able
he
to
grace us with his presence?
I am hoping he will, but we will see. There are allegedly 6 Texas players here.
There is.
They brought more.
Yep.
So we will definitely be getting some, but I don't know about Quinn.
Kyle A gives us $2 today for the internet fund. Kyle, I appreciate that.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah,
Aaron Wilson
internet
gives us $2. Aaron Wilson, the Texas Tech homer, gives us $2 to skip all of the Texas interviews.
Oh,
okay,
thank you,
great.
Aaron.
For $2, we won't ever say the name. Come.
Yeah. I see what you did there.
We see you working there, man. Appreciate that very much. Welcome into AT&T Stadium, Big 12 Football Media Days on the Monty Show, presented by our friends at BladeHQ.com. The best knives from the best knife makers. Easy to shop online. And that's the thing, you guys. Like, one of the things we always talk about is local companies. We like small local businesses. Well, BladeHQ.com's in an interesting spot because they started as a smaller company and now they are the go-to. They are the only choice when you need the best knives from the best knife makers, no matter if you're a hunter, a fisherman, no matter what kind of blade you need, a folding blade, whether you need a hunting knife, it just doesn't matter. Blade HQ has simply put the best and largest selection of knives on their website right now, bladehq.com. Make sure you tell them you heard about it on the Monty Show. And remember that you are giving back to your local community when you shop with bladehq.com because they're based in Utah. They are a company that operates like a small mom and pop family business, but trust me when I say BladeHQ.com is the best in the business. Appreciate all of you guys. Outside the echo chamber says, heard Arizona AD is there. Haven't seen Dave Hickey.
Not sure.
Have not seen Dave Hickey. Two Masters says Quinn Ewers.
Right.
Okay. Tanner Plummer, what are the chances of you guys getting your mark on the program? Very good.
We are going to try, and we should be able to.
We should be able to get that done.
Should be able to get that done.
Who's going to be fine bum of the Big 12? No idea. No idea. But, I mean, I appreciate the lingo.
Yeah.
I do appreciate the lingo
of
that. Kyle Thrail. Kyle, let's go with Kyle.
Kyle works.
How do the TV contracts work with Texas and Oklahoma leaving to go to the SEC? Will the payouts be more or less when they leave? Well, the contract obviously is structured around that. So the contract that doesn't change. The Big 12 TV deal is not based on Texas and Oklahoma. And when you look at the numbers, when you go to the college football playoff or you go to the NCAA tournament, that money stays with the conference. That's not to the team. San Diego State in the Mountain West is probably the best example of this, that that money that San Diego State won or brought in by their run to the Final Four and their run to the national championship game stays with the Mountain West. And they tried, by the way, San Diego State tried to leverage that as a way to get out of the conference and pay their fee, to which the Mountain West said, pound sand.
Mm-hmm.
But that money stays. So if, Texas wins a national championship, or that money stays. So it doesn't really impact it one way or the other. Appreciate the question. How about Marlon Shaw giving us $10 today? Say, dudes, take my word. Got to go to Cattleman's Steakhouse in Fort Worth near the Stockyards and next to Billy Bob's, best steak ever. We are going to
Bob's Steak and Shops in Plano.
That's where we're going.
That was the recommendation
tonight.
We got.
That's the first recommendation we got.
Yeah.
So we are going there tonight, and we are looking forward to it. I am super stoked about that. Jake is going to go run and lasso some dudes. But Marlon Shaw, appreciate that. Always appreciate you guys contributing to the program. Thank you very much. Let's see. Who else today is listening? Two Masters says, first pick six, Patrick. Okay. Mike Games from Steel Valley says ESPN fixes college football. Well, I mean, sure. I mean, no. Why would they fix college football? So you're saying that, and explain that a little bit, because I do think there is a conversation to be had about, especially with this Big 12, Pac-12 situation. You look at the way that ESPN has handled the Pac-12 TV contract, and you quickly realize that ESPN can make deals. They can pave highways. There's no doubt about that. You look at BYU, and BYU's relationship with ESPN was a critical factor, in my opinion, and what people have told us, a critical factor in paving the way to get them into the Big 12. So I don't think there's any doubt that ESPN, can they make or break somebody? Well, sure they can. I don't know that ESPN is in the business of, I don't know what's the right way to say it. I don't think ESPN's in the business of crushing dudes, right? I certainly don't believe that. But I think if you don't play nice in the sandbox like the Pac-12, I think you're going to struggle to have long-lasting, important relationships. And I think when you look at those situations, it's absolutely true that ESPN has influence. ESPN was never going to compete with Amazon for Pac-12 TV rights. They weren't going to do that. Because ESPN's got the Big 12. ESPN's got now the SEC. They don't need, they're not dying for or thirsty for that content. They've talked about being pragmatic in the money that they spend. So I don't necessarily believe that they, fix college football. What would be the upside for them on that? There is no upside on that. They already get the biggest game, no matter who it is. They've got the college football playoff. They've got most of the big bowl games. They do Capital One Bowl Week. Like, there would be no reason for ESPN and ABC to fix games to get better matchups because they already get the best matchup, man. And if they were fixing games to get the best matchup, Alabama would be in every single year, and they were not last year, right? So I don't know. I hear that a lot, and obviously that conversation happens a lot, but I don't buy that. I don't buy that. Matt Hart, ESPN seems to control the narrative because they are so popular. What highlights they show on SportsCenter is huge. Now, see, I agree with that. I think, sure, do they control the talking points in sports? Absolutely they do. Absolutely they do. Do they sit on top of the sports totem pole? Absolutely they do. But when you look at ESPN and the highlights that they play, I don't know that there is every week in and week out, well, we've got to make sure that Texas gets in, or we've got to, so let's move the highlight to the top of the stack or into the A block. Or now there are some people who will tell you that they take College Game Day to make a game more important, but it's not like they only go to ESPN and ABC games. Now, for their bigger games, why wouldn't they go to their biggest game of the week? Right. So there is absolutely some of that. Mark324 says UT fans are conspiracy theorists to explain their ongoing futility. Well, you got to win games. You can't be 2-5 in one score games, right? You can't be 8-5 last year. You can't go, 14 years without winning the conference. That doesn't work. And this year, all of those excuses are gone. You have 15 returning starters. You have the best offensive line. You have depth at the quarterback room. You have depth on offense at all the skill positions, running back included. You've got who I think is one of the best tight ends in the country, and Jatavian Sanders. Those excuses go away. Those excuses go away. And you look at Jaylan Ford, and you look at what Jaylan brings to the yard, dude. Like, this is a dude that is an absolute game changer. So we can sit here and we can talk about, ESPN creating narratives. And I'm telling you, those narratives are created by players on the field making plays. You get on SportsCenter when you make plays. And if Houston, West Virginia, arguably one of the worst teams in the conference projections this year. If West Virginia makes plays, does West Virginia get on SportsCenter? Gonna be hard to say no. Can't put West Virginia. We need Texas. Does that make a lot of sense? If West Virginia's got this incredible offense, it doesn't make a lot of sense, right? I understand that Texas draws a lot of water, as they should. Players make plays that get you on SportsCenter. Everybody talks about being on the top 10. Players make plays. You get on that top 10 by making plays, right? So we could talk about narratives and conspiracy theories. I'd rather talk football. And in my opinion, when I look at this Texas team and I look at what Texas is all about, they have playmakers, and their playmakers make differences that absolutely make a difference. The best linebacker in the Big 12 just sat down. Oh, my Instagram guy. Okay, we got to talk about your Instagram.
Uh-huh.
What is this picture? Let me pull it up.
Let me see.
Because I was in awe of you last night. I'll be honest. This is probably awkward. Huh? Yeah, you're on.
I need the mic.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. You need the mic. Let's see. Where are you? There you are. Explain to me the awesomeness of that picture on top right there.
That's it. You want to show the camera?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Let's go. Where is it? Right there? Yes, there you are. Jake, get in on that. So this picture, Jake described this as cold. There it is right there. He described this as a cold picture because what you won't see on TV, and let me see if I can get it on this one, but what you won't see on TV, what you won't see is the look on your face in this picture is unbelievable.
No, I'm like Tarzan.
Yeah, dude, like that's unbelievable. What is going through your mind in that moment? Like, walk me through that.
It was the experience of being there. I grew up watching those games, and I grew up dreaming and thinking about that hat. So having the opportunity, for one,
for the seniors. That was their last rivalry game ever. And
Wow.
winning that, it meant something special, and it meant something more than me. And then also just stepping in that crowd, a crowd once I used to be a part of, but now I'm playing, and just feeling their energy. It was amazing, and it made me feel like Tarzan up there.
Do you feel like you get the respect you deserve? Because I think watching your tape and watching you perform, you're around the football a lot.
Mhm.
You make plays. I think the two worst words, if I'm you, honorable mention, should motivate you. That would really bother me from last year.
Yeah. Well, growing up, I always had a chip on my shoulder. I've been counted out several times. At the end of the day, that's not my control. Everybody has their opinions and stuff like that. But what is in my control is my work ethic and how I go about my business. So at the end of the day, I'll be ready come September. And my guys trust me, and my coaches trust me, and I'm happy they put me in the position to even be here today speaking with you guys.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that's very clear is we were just talking about our listeners today. We're saying that you guys get too much run, and Texas is expectations every year, and I say playmakers create expectations. You guys on defense last year did not meet your minimum bar. I've heard that all offseason. What are you doing right now to make sure that Texas on defense is ready to rock and roll?
Getting extra work in, and make sure in every position group just get extra film. It's all about film. Before the play, you want to know. So like I studied all those screens that were breaking. It just wasn't because I was being aggressive. Yeah, I was being aggressive, but I knew it was happening before it even happened. And just like Ford.
Wait a minute. What is that? What is that like? You've put in the work. Do you see it playing out in front of you? Like in that moment, you know where the ball's going. You feel like, what is that moment like?
It's like taking candy from a baby.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So it just plays out right in front. Because are you talking about there's a UTSA interception, I think, that's running through my head. Like you look like you knew watching that play last night. We were watching your tape last night, and it looked like you knew where that ball was going.
I knew it was going there, but honestly, I didn't know it was going to be overthrown. Okay. I didn't know it was going to be overthrown, so I was being in the right spot at the right time, and that was God. That was all God right there.
Yeah, dude, that's amazing. As we talk to Jahdae Barron, where does that name come from? Because I got to be honest with you, it's also got a ring to it.
Okay, so you know y'all know the singer Sade.
Oh yeah, of course.
So my mom named me after the singer Sade. Just put J, Jade.
Wow. That's some expectations, dude.
Yeah.
Like you got to be talented.
Yeah, I'm kind of talented. Hey, look, I sing a little bit, but look, I won't give y'all nothing today.
You sing a little bit.
Just a little bit. I'm off time.
Okay. I like it. Let's talk about expectations. 2-5 and 1-score games last year. When you hear that as a defense, that's not a stat that you're going to love. What do you guys do to improve in tight games?
Bought in and trusting Coach PK's plan. Because once we trust his plan, because he's an amazing coach, he has the history behind it, he has the stat line behind it. So just trusting what we got on for the week, and it'd be amazing, and just trusting him.
Pete, you mean Kwiatkowski, whose house in Scottsdale I used to manage. That's a crazy story.
That is.
I'm not even joking. He comes from, obviously, he's got a ton of experience, and I wonder when a guy like that, because you talk about buying in, I think that's a term that everybody uses. Well, buy in, do it. What does that mean, buy-in? What does that look like when you say, hey, Coach PK tells me, and is it just a matter of letting go and just doing it?
So today's Wednesday. So with us, Sark, he created this thing for us. It's called Culture Wednesday. So 5 of us were obviously missing it, but today we have Culture Wednesday, and we come together, and we connect, and we tell each other deep things. So before we even connect on the field, we're connecting off the field, and it's way deeper. We get deep into life. So once we do that, that's how we create a bond and just a family and just trusting one another. Because this is more than a football. This is a brotherhood. So once we can trust somebody off the field, then it's a no-brainer to trust somebody on the field, and then that has to do with complete trust in the coaches and things like that.
Wow, that's awesome. Before I let you go, because I know you guys got to run. Talk about your depth, because you have 15 starters back.
Mhm.
You have an offense that just looks unbelievable.
Amazing.
Great. Good luck in practice.
But it's only going to make us better.
Absolutely.
Going against the best just makes us better.
But are the expectations? Do you guys hear those expectations? Do you? Because we can talk in jargon about shutting it out, and
Mhm.
How much do those expectations and those narratives impact you guys?
We're gonna get positive and we're gonna get negative things. At the end of the day, we just have to work. We know what our goal is, and we just have to work and be locked in. At the end of the day, we're gonna get great and we're gonna get bad things. But at the end of the day, we're gonna work and we're gonna be ready come September.
Keep being Tarzan, I guess.
Tarzan.
I love that picture, man. Good to see you. Stay healthy. I look forward to watching you play.
Thank you.
There you go. Jade Barron from Texas. Absolutely awesome. And I told you about that picture. I told you that Instagram picture was going to be a home run, man, because you just look at the swagger. And maybe this is the thing that I buy into too much. I think when you're Texas, and everybody expects, and we keep talking about the stupid expectations, and is Texas back? I don't care. How do you handle that? How does that impact you? How do you let that, change the way you play? How do you let those, furthermore than that, how do you let those expectations change the way you treat your teammates, your professors, your support staff, your mom, your dad, your brother? Right? Because that's ultimately, and I know people think that we make too much out of this stuff, but I promise you we're not. That ultimately is what makes you a good team or a bad team. Because if you can handle the expectations and you can hold those expectations, really, because you don't care about the expectations, they can't change you. And I think so many times in college athletics and college sports, we have so many dudes that get changed by expectations. And I think that's the real struggle, at least in my opinion. I don't know what you guys think. I would love to get your comments on it. Live at Big 12 Media Day in Dallas. Thanks to our friends at BladeHQ.com, as well as Big O Tires and American Fork. You guys, our guy Ryan at Big O Tires and American Fork supports this show really well. They are the lift kit kings of Utah County. And I don't often talk about guys specifically, right? But Ryan at Big O Tires and American Fork has taken care of me personally. He has worked on my Jeep. He has tinted my windows. He has done my oil changes. He has done my tires. He has worked on my family's cars. He's just a genuinely nice guy that does really good work. And when you have the Big O Tires brand behind you, the quality is already assumed. But he doesn't take things for granted. He pays attention to details. They communicate really well. And at the end of the day, your car's going to roll out of there far better than it rolled in there, whether that's a lift kit, whether that's tires, an oil change, an alignment, tinting your windows, replacing a windshield, you name it. The guys at Big O Tires and American Fork get the job done for you. So make sure you go in and see those guys. Tell me you heard about it on the Monty Show. Big 12 Football Media Days presented by our guys at BladeHQ.com, the best knives by the best knife makers, and Big O Tires and American Fork. Let's see where you guys are at. Outside the echo chamber says amen. Let's see. BR says Texas swagger is their downfall. They expect other teams to lay down for them. Do they, though? See, I don't agree with that. And maybe I'm open to the idea I could be totally wrong. I don't believe in that. I think when you look at what Texas has and what they do, it is one of those things that you get and you internally, you're very different than you are externally, right? Your message from your coach to your players is very different internally than it is sitting on a set at AT&T Stadium. Right, you're not going to say, "Well, we believe we should beat UTSA," or you're not going to get the, "Hey, this is our job. Let's go out and kick the crap out of UTSA." You're not going to get that, nor should you. But I don't believe that Texas is arrogant. I don't believe, at least not talking to their guys and being around their staff today so far. I don't believe that Texas is arrogant to the point where they're just giving games away and nobody cares. I don't think it could be further from the truth. And I think one of the interesting things is, and we're hoping to get Steve Sarkisian here in a few minutes, but one of the things that I think is so interesting is this premise and this idea of who Steve Sarkisian is. Because Sark has been through so much in his career. And whether it is, personal tribulations, whether it is SC to Bama, now to Texas, you look at the job that Sarkisian has done at Texas, and he has built this team to a level where they really should be in the college football playoff. All things being equal, if you look at Texas on paper, whether it is, their defense, which I think Jaylan Ford, I think is absolutely critical and really important. I think it is. I just think it's incredibly important, man. Like you look at where Texas is and what the expectations are. I think that's critically important. And I think it is. And again, this is just my opinion. And I think we're going to get Cody Epps from BYU here in a minute. But you look at the expectations, and I know I keep saying that word, and you guys are probably tired of hearing me say that. You look at the fact that Texas has everything to play for. They have everything to play for. They have not won the Big 12 since 2009. Bro, you're really going to roll up wearing those shoes. That is unbelievable. Look at you with the what is that? The Tiffany Air Force Ones. Here, let me give you, pick up that mic over there. There it is. Cody Epps. Good to see you, Monty.
Yes.
Nice to meet you, my friend.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, but you got the shoes, you got the fit on today.
Yes.
Like you're looking good. How's life treating you?
Life is pretty good. I came into Texas on a private jet, so I
Well,
cannot complain about
okay.
life right now. So
Okay, I flew commercial, but that's fine. You could have invited me, but that's fine.
my bad.
How's life at BYU? Obviously, you had an interesting summer. You
Mhm.
you thought about transferring,
Mhm.
and it seemed like there was a hot minute where things got crazy for you.
Yes.
Is that what happened? Like, how did you handle that personally? What was that like on the inside?
It was super emotional, and I'm typically not an emotional guy, but the decision to leave and the decision to come back was super emotional, super heartstringing. But I'm just so blessed to overcome that, and I'm so blessed to be where I am right now. Like I said, I just came in on a private jet. Man.
Yeah,
And
man.
I'm so blessed to be a part of Cougar Nation. I'm so blessed to be with my teammates, to be with Coach Kalani, Tom Homo. Just this experience alone, man. I wouldn't want to do it with any other college program. So
The word of the day so far has been expectations. I don't even know how to spin it any other word than that. I have a lot of expectations for you.
Mhm.
I think you're an NFL wide receiver. I think that you are arguably the most critical player on offense for BYU. I think you are the guy that they need to lean on fully to take this offense to the next level. A, do you agree with that? And B, when you look at how important you are to that team, like where do you fit in on this offense? And do you agree with those expectations?
So, I think I have a lot of expectations for myself. I would love to be dependent on by Coach A-Rod and be a guy that they can go to on third down or fourth down or first down, whenever my offense needs, whether that's making a block, making a critical play. But I don't necessarily, we have a bunch of guys that we're going to have to lean on, and we're going to have to lean on our quarterback, and we're going to have to lean on our running back. So, the easiest thing for me, man, is just being able to have guys around me, which we do, just to be able to do my 111, do my part, and not have to go to the extremes and do things that, I'm thinking about the next play or thinking about the next quarter, just being in every single moment, every single play. And I think that's allotted to me by the coaches that I have, Coach Fessy, Coach Era, approaching every single day with intensity, with intent, and just trying to be as efficient as possible. So I don't have crazy expectations like the offense has to lean on me,
Right.
but I definitely want to be a guy that our offense can count on.
But here's the difference. You don't have to do anything crazy. You don't have to try and be 11 dudes, because you as one guy, I think you're good enough where you just be you. And I think that makes a difference. Do you buy into that level of talent? How do you see yourself as a wide receiver? And I know you're going to be humble. I totally get that. But how do you see yourself as a wide receiver?
I just see, like I said, man, one thing I will brag about is I just see myself as someone that an offense can count on. When that ball's in the air, when I need to make a block, I pride myself on being an efficient football player, being reliable when I'm on the football field, and being a reliable teammate to my team, to my coaches. So that's how I see myself. Any moment in the game where they need me, they want to count on me, I pride myself on. I want to be the guy to make that play, and I love making those plays. So
yeah. Cody Epps is our guest on the Monty Show live at Big 12 Football Media Days. Thanks to our friends at BladeHQ.com. Change has kind of been the flavor of the offseason for BYU. You guys had seismic change on defense. Obviously, the quarterback position with Keaton coming in has been different. How different are things? Does BYU football feel like it's always felt for you, or how different are things in Provo?
It's not that different, man. It's still Keaton calls it the dirty P. We joke about it. We call it the dirty P, but Provo's still the same, man. It's just so fun to have. We're building off of an extremely good team last year, and just coming in with a bunch of new guys this year. But the blessing is that the guys that we've just brought in, they've gelled to the team so fast. Like, it's been so seamless. There's hasn't been too many hiccups, if any, that I can on my fingers count. But yeah, everybody's been, bought in from the jump. Jay Hill coming in, he's made himself known. Coach Papinga, all of our D-line linebackers coaches, just everybody that's come in, man, has just made an incredible impact immediately. And I'm just so happy that we have the guys that we have, and to still be in Provo. So,
and one of the interesting things I think is a group of guys you do have. I'm a huge Max Tooley fan.
Yes,
I think Maximus is the dude.
Maximus the great.
Right,
yes.
right. I think like you just seem to have some salt of the earth in that locker room. And I think you're definitely part of that as a California kid. Like, I think you guys have this mix of personalities and backgrounds and people that really make this club unique.
Yes, definitely. That's something that I think is so pivotal within our room, dude. We have dudes from every walk of life. I'd say that we have the toughest white dudes west of the Mississippi. We have dudes that have come from the hood. We have dudes that are from Samoa. We have dudes that are from the East Coast. We have dudes that are from Florida. We have dudes from every walk of life, every facet of life. So it's beyond football, it's an honor to be able to, communicate with different guys and learn different experiences, and then go out and practice and play with them. So it's fun, man.
2 more questions for Cody Epps on the Monty Show. Number 1, how was Europe?
Amazing.
What'd you see? Where'd you go?
Yes, so I spent 2 weeks in Europe. I went to London, Paris, Amsterdam, and Germany.
I love London.
Yes, great experience. London was actually my favorite spot.
Let's go. Let's go.
Love London. It was a great experience, man, just to be able to step outside of football, the football realm, and step into the business side of my life that I want to also take a lot of charge in. It was great to go out there and study commercial real estate, eat different foods, have different conversations with a little bit of French or whatever I was speaking out there. It was a great experience. So yeah, I had a lot of fun. So.
And you're at a Nike school. I'm a Jordan guy.
Okay.
So
I see you rocking the 13s right there.
Heck yeah, dude.
These are Monty's rocking some classic 13s right here. I remember my dad had those when I was like 10 years old, and I always wanted them.
I have a full room in my house of Jordans.
Okay.
Like, and Jake and I collect. I have probably it's an infection, dude. My wife collects now. Like, it's crazy.
Dude, you're my guy.
Yeah, let's go.
Jake. Come here, Jake.
Let's go.
Yeah.
But I see. I'm split. I have 2 pairs of Air Force Ones, and I don't wear them a lot.
Yeah.
Am I missing out on the Air Force Ones?
I'm not an Air Force One guy.
Okay.
I'm not an Air Force One guy, but when I seen Tiffany did the collab, I'm like, dude, I gotta
have to.
Yes, because I only like white Air Force Ones, because you can't go wrong with them.
Right. Never.
I don't really like when they do like black Air Force Ones with an orange Nike sign. Like, it's kind of like not my mojo. I would much rather wear a pair of Jordans than wear a pair of Air Force Ones with a, so. Having these right here, so I was like, I got to get a pair of those.
By the way, crispy suit too. I like it. You look good.
Shout out. We're gonna give a shout out to DC Tuxedo down in Provo. They hooked me up. Shout out to you guys. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys.
Love it. Love you, man. Good to see you. I appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you so much.
Let's talk again soon, man.
We will. We gotta talk about them Jays, man.
Yeah, let's go. Cody Epps from BYU. I've been preaching about Cody Epps, and there he is, man. I still maintain. There he goes. Be well. Appreciate you, bud. I think Cody Epps is what I said to him is absolutely what I've said to you guys. I think he is the straw that stirs the drink for BYU, because he's that good. He's that talented. And the question for me is, can Keaton Slovis deliver him the ball in time and space? Because he's got Kingsley Suamataia, who I think is, again, and I know we've had 2 of the better offensive linemen in this conference already on the show, but Kingsley Suamataia playing on the left I think he is all conference, preseason all conference for a reason. I think he belongs right there. I think there's been turnover. Obviously, the Barrington brothers are in Waco, not in the Dirty P. But I think that it's going to be critically important for the offensive line to give Keaton Slovis time to go and connect with Cody Epps. But he rolls up here wearing Air Force One Tiffany's.
Yeah.
God dang gummit. My bad. Go ahead.
Hello.
No,
That's not the one.
there it is.
Is it me you're looking for?
So many microphones. But Cody Epps is
Cody Epps is
impressive,
awesome, man. Cody Epps is a stud, no doubt about it. And I agree. I do think the guy is absolutely an NFL talent. Interesting happenings as I'm walking around. It's cooled off a little bit. Texas was in and Texas was out real quick, real methodical with it. Not looking to hang around. So we're good.
Well, let's hope that we can. I need you to go and tackle Steve Sarkisian. That's a must-have on the show today, Jake.
Okay, well, I
he's
can
rolling around in a suit somewhere, man.
All right.
You got to go and hook that up. But wait, real quick. How did Cody Epps happen? That was BYU out of nowhere.
Yeah, BYU just kind of appeared. I was trying to get Jaylan Ford. From Texas, and ran out of time with him. And then Cody just walked up with his people. I was like, "What's up?"
He was looking good too.
Yeah, looking crispy in that suit, man.
Yep.
So it's good. I do feel like I think we have a press conference happening soon. I think.
Yep.
So I think everyone's kind of preparing for that. But it's great. Big 12 Media Day has been a big hit so far, no doubt about it.
It has been a big hit, and these events are fun. But that's one of the more entertaining parts of it is you get a guy like Cody Epps who just shows up, and he's a really good conversation, man. Like these young dudes, the thing you're learning is there's a lot of media training that goes on. And like Jake and that was a really good job texting me the wrong guy's name on Texas.
Dude, so okay, here's what happened. So
Because
I was
that's who I thought
him.
it was.
I was gonna get him, and then Barron just was available. His interview ended and just rolled up.
Yeah, which is fine with me, man. Like you're never going to hear me complain about it, right? Like, I mean, I think it's one of the best parts of this gig.
Yeah,
is dudes walking up, but Jahdae Barron was fantastic.
Yeah,
outstanding. He really was.
Yeah, I mean, they're just so. I think we don't get to appreciate just how intelligent football players are because they're under the helmet.
Yes.
You don't like him talking about taking candy from a baby is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, well, but we were talking about Texas, and we were talking about whether or not that they expect teams to roll over for them. I don't think they do. I just think Texas believes they're more well prepared than their opponent.
Yep.
Honest to God, if you listen to Sark, you listen to his players talk, they do their homework, man. Like you can't have this much talent and waste it by not watching film, by not understanding what it like on defense. One of the biggest questions I always ask myself about offenses is, do those offenses understand what the defense is trying to manipulate them into doing?
Right.
And vice versa. And you can clearly see on film, Texas understands what offenses are trying to do to them. I think they missed opportunities to make plays.
Yes.
And when you're 2-5 in one-score games, you're missing opportunities.
No doubt about it.
My guess is, and maybe I'm crazy, those fine details are going to be one of the biggest improvements for Texas this year.
Yes.
Because you can't be a half yard, a half step. You can't be late on a hip turn in this league. Not this year. Because the talent pools are too deep. I think the skill positions are too mighty.
Yes.
So, anyway. So, there you go. Yeah, I mean, you can go float around and be a social butterfly if you like.
Let me go hunting here and see who I can wrangle.
Yeah, just make sure you text me the right name next time.
Well, things happen quick. They change fast.
They do. They absolutely do. We're live at Big 12 Football Media Days in Dallas, AT&T Stadium, and it's awesome. It is so good to be here. I see Dave Aranda from Baylor sitting down. I mean, like it is really impressive when you see the array of talent that is in this building, because plain and simply put, you guys, this is some of the best talent in all of college athletics right here. And it is, for my money, this is going to be 2 days of awesomeness. So we are really looking forward to trying to run down some Baylor dudes, trying to run down some Texas dudes. We'll see what Jake's able to come up with. Let's see where you guys are at. Shooter Texas. Texas still has an arrogance issue. See, Texas is a big topic of conversation. That makes them weak when they get behind in the fourth quarter or after they take a 2+ losses in a season. I mean, only time's going to tell. Only time's going to tell. I don't get the opinion in just meeting these dudes and talking to these dudes that Texas is arrogant. I think there's a difference between arrogance and preparedness. And I feel like Houston's a really good example. There's nothing arrogant about Houston. Those dudes are prepared. Those guys are ready. I don't think they want to hear one more time that they're not talented enough, that the leap from the AAC to the Big 12 is too much. I just don't think they want to hear it. And I think justifiably so, because I think Houston's ready to go. I don't believe that Texas has an arrogance issue. I don't believe that the 4 new teams in this conference are necessarily going to have the worst time in the world. Is Houston, UCF, I think UCF might be the best of the new bunch. But I think all 4, and I don't know what Cincinnati is, we'll find out. All 4 are probably better than West Virginia. I think that's a big ask. How good is West Virginia? How good should West Virginia be? Right? Because they probably should be better. That's what I'll be interested in. And I'm curious to see how all these talking points play out. Elaine, comment dump. BYU TV, baby, can't wait, Mr. Tinfoil Man says. Okay. Jeremy Callahan, what's up with you? We've lived through decades of Texas arrogance. You may. Shooter Texas says Aranda is odd, but very interesting to interview because he actually tells the truth instead of coach speak. I love Dave Aranda. I'm a huge Dave Aranda guy. But their defense has got to be better. I mean, Grimy in the offense, I think, is going to be fine. But your defense has to be better. And frankly, I think when you look at some of the turnover that happened on that Baylor offensive line, I mean, you clearly brought in, I think one of the better offensive line transfer portal guys in Clark Barrington, which is not surprising because Grimy's there and he has that relationship. That much is very clear. But I think when you look at what Baylor is facing this year, I think they have got to find a way for their defense to improve. I don't think it's going to be an offensive problem. Blake Shapen, we're going to find out. Is Blake Shapen a guy that can lead an offense? I have real concerns about that. I have real questions about that. They had a quarterback battle. Blake Shapen came out and won it. I think Dave Aranda is more than qualified to decide who his starting quarterback is. But I think you look at TJ Franklin, Gabe Hall, you've got big bookend defensive ends. You only have 5 returners on defense. To me, the biggest question is, can you, if you are Baylor, have a situation where you bring in all this new talent and they all gel and it all gets cohesive? And I think that's going to be a very steep hill to climb. That's going to be a very steep hill to climb. Let's see. Kurt Meyer says, thanks, guys. Great show. Off to work. Come see me at Gunny's. Okay. Elaine Tran says, I'm still not sold on Shapen. But who is? Who is at this point? If I said to you, Blake Shapen, how can you be sold based on what you had seen from Shapen? And how can you be sold based on the reports out of spring ball? I think that's a very difficult thing to do. I think it's nearly an impossible thing to do. And I just don't know what the answer to that question is, but there's only one way to find out, and that's to play football. I mean, that's at its most basic human level, you got to go out and perform. Expectations or not, frustration or not, belief system or not, you've got to go out and perform. That's the bottom line. So we'll see what happens, but Blake Shapen's a very interesting character. It's very interesting. Aaron Wilson, I said Aranda is boring. I don't agree that Aranda is boring. Hi, Jake. Jake is back. Jake.
Here in a few minutes. He is doing the circuit. Basically, the way this works for everyone is there's probably, 50 outlets maybe, 40 outlets.
Not even half of them are live. It's odd to me.
Yeah, and so what's going on is we're competing we are trying to get some of these names for you guys, and so they're just kind of bouncing around. So we should get them, hopefully within 10 minutes or so. But
yeah, part of the toughest gig here is lassoing players.
And I don't know where Sark has disappeared on us. I think I know Texas had a thing upstairs, I guess.
Okay. They'll be back.
They'll be back. Yeah.
They'll be back. They'll do more Radio Row, we hope.
Yeah.
So but Oklahoma State's coming. That should be fun, but we'll see. Let's see. Patrick Bourne. I like Aranda's approach, but I also like Rule's approach. Well,
I mean,
a lot of Baylor fans have said that to us. A lot of Baylor fans have said, listen, if Matt Rule had never, well, Matt Rule did, right? Like, so you are we just going to live in the past? I mean, that's not the way that works.
No.
Right? Like that's not the way that works. It's just one of those things where you have to keep moving. Dave Aranda is not like some fallback position.
No.
Right? I mean, and I kind of wonder if Dave Aranda never takes that job, but we'll never know because he did.
Yeah.
And I think we live in sports, we like to live in this fantasy world where we talk about the what ifs and the maybes and what if they had or hadn't. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? I think, yes, are there core issues at Baylor where you wound up 6-7 and you gave up 32 points a game in the last 4 and like you added 13 guys, like Ketron Jackson is a huge ad for that team.
Yes.
Right. But do you have enough right now to compete and even bounce back? You're not. And I think the right way to say it is you're not going to win. You are not going to win the Big 12. That's not going to happen.
Right.
I think we are all aware of that.
Yeah.
But there's no reason that you cannot be competitive every single
I don't
way.
think there's any reason why, Baylor can't go out and have a bounce back season. I just think that a lot of people discount Baylor because they had a rough season and now it's like, oh, well, it's going to go downhill. That's not necessarily true. They just need a bounce back.
Yep. Shooter Texas says Matt Rule was the only guy that could have turned around Baylor at the time. Aranda is the guy to build on the foundation and bring consistency over time. But I think Dave's done that. He's already had, some pretty substantial success, right?
Yes.
So I don't know that we necessarily need to sit here and be wondering what he's capable of doing. I already know what he's capable of doing.
Yes. There's no question about that. And I think that again, we can compare. We can go back and forth on these different names all day long, but the reality of the situation is it does come down to, like Texas and 1-score games. It does come down to just making those final plays that will allow you to win a ball game. And that's what I think that's what I think can be tough is like, you have roster turnover, you're trying to improve year over year. And some years it just doesn't quite work out. That's what you deal with.
Yeah. And I think roster turnover now, you're looking at a situation where the transfer portal very clearly is a game changer.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at a situation again where Baylor adds 13 guys in the transfer portal. You look at Deion Sanders at Colorado. You look at all these universities that embrace the transfer portal, but I don't think the transfer portal equals wins in football the way it does in basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a totally different beast. I don't think that you can rely on the transfer portal to be competitive. I don't think you can rely on the transfer portal to build, to fill every gap that you have. I just don't think that's the way it works.
Yeah, no,
not in football.
No, and I think in the difference between basketball and football is that in basketball, it's a 5-man sport, at one time. With football, you have so much happening. And that's why I think, the elite athletes in football stand out just so much. It's that old concept of like a cornerback takes away half a field, or like you just have these particular players that have a particular skill set that allows them to dominate the field.
Yes.
And that's ultimately what the business of coaching is about. How many guys can I turn into absolute playmaking, chaos causing players? And that's what I think, when we've talked to all these different players, even like a Cody Epps, like understanding like, hey, I'm the guy, like I got to go out and make big plays. I got to, do that. Like that's that's a way. Like, that's a mindset, and I think a lot of these teams have that right now.
Yep. Kyle Howerton says Baylor had 4 games close last season in the fourth quarter that ended up not going their way. Baylor will bounce back, just have to finish in the fourth quarter. But again, you also can't give up. I mean, 27 points a game, and in the last 4, it was 32.2 points a game. Like, your defense has to find itself early in the season and hit its stride late in the season.
Yes.
Because when you go downhill the wrong way, you're going to lose games like that.
Yes.
And I just go back to Blake Shapen. I think his play, his quality, like how long is that going to be tolerated? Like, that's the question at Baylor, and the answer is I don't know. I truly do not know what Dave Aranda's plan for that is, and he's not going to talk about it. And nor do I believe we should be sitting around saying to Dave Aranda, hey, by the way, how long is the leash? Like, who's going to do that, right? Like, because he's not going to answer that question. The biggest question is, can you, if you are Baylor, rely on the transfer portal for this season? I think that's a huge question mark, and the answer is I don't know. Typically, teams that bring in a lot of players through the portal have chemistry issues. And in football, I mean, obviously, we're talking in generalities, right? And we're talking about, these real vague statements, but generally teams that bring in, 10, 12, 13 guys have chemistry issues, and they generally do not win. Because if you need wholesale changes, if you are adding 13 guys from the portal, and if you only have 5 returning starters on defense, that's a problem. And so it's going to be a battle to build chemistry and camaraderie and have continuity, throughout your roster. That's the biggest question when you hear like Deion Sanders at Colorado. Like, listen, I love the energy, and I love that it's Louis, and I get all that. You can't bring in 7,000 guys through the transfer portal and think that there are not going to be repercussions for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So unfortunately, Dave has press conference commitments, so he will be a second half guy for us today, unfortunately. So yeah, not the answer we were looking for, but we'll work on it.
I will backhand you.
I know.
We are live at Big 12 Football Media Days in Dallas, AT&T Stadium, Jera World, and it is about to kick off. We are about to get into press conference window. So I think, again, I expect, we're going to see new faces, and there is going to be, quite a bit of I don't know, interview by shotgun. Because you really don't have a way to expect who's coming and whatnot. So I will ask you to be patient with us, but we are presented by BladeHQ.com. The best knives from the best knife makers, BladeHQ.com. Shop online right now. They have one of the best, easy to use. The cool thing about BladeHQ.com is they built their own platform and software to run their website because they wanted to control the user experience. They want their customers to have the easiest, best experience. That's why you shop at BladeHQ.com. Yeah, they have, by far, not close, the best selection of knives on hand. I think they have over 15,000 knives at any given moment on hand, ready to ship for you at BladeHQ.com. So, you know what? They really take your experience, and they really care about the end result for you. You're going to get a great knife. You're going to get a great piece at BladeHQ.com. But they care about the how you get that piece just as much as the what you get, which is, I think, fantastic. It's a very refreshing way to go about the retail business. So thanks to our friends at BladeHQ.com. Conundrum says, hit the like button, casuals. Yes, please. It always helps us when you guys hit the like button on the show. So make sure that you guys do that. Elaine Tran says, McGuire is a recruiting genius. Tech will compete. Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. Let's see. Who's all in today? A lot of familiar faces. Big Jack 512 says, no problem, LOL. Yeah, good. I mean, I'm telling you, man.
It's not, I won't lie to you guys. It's not easy. Like, we're trying. We've got, I feel like, who do we have so far? We've got a couple guys from Texas, a couple guys from Houston, Cody Epps, like, So we've had a good number of people come on the show this morning. Just
first
trying
hour and a half has been kind of crazy. By the way, the New York Jets will be on Hard Knocks this year.
Yes.
Just being announced that the Jets will be on Hard Knocks. This according to Adam Schefter. Do you like that? How do you feel about
I mean,
that?
I think it's a natural fit. Aaron Rodgers, the chaos of it all. Like, I think it's absolutely, I mean, you couldn't ask for better for the league, right?
No,
I mean, there's
certainly
plenty
not.
going on there. So, I think, if Hard Knocks is a little coy about it, Zach Wilson will get a lot of run, inside of their episodes, which I wouldn't be surprised by, but we'll see. I mean, it really, obviously Aaron Rodgers will be the face, but I do think that there's a lot of storylines with the Jets right now.
Yeah, I think when you look at Hard Knocks, they need that.
Yeah.
They absolutely need that. They need something. They need the spectacular. I think that is very true. Shout out to Andrea Cameron, who sends me a DM and says, my son is there with Baylor. Josh Cameron, number 34, started at Baylor as a preferred walk-on, earned a scholarship after his first year in 22, and is now repping his team at Media Day. Wow, that's a really cool story.
Cool.
That is a really cool story, and hopefully we will talk to Josh today.
Yeah, very cool story. Love that.
And I think that's the story. I wish we told more stories like that.
Yeah.
I wish that we as a group of media members, and maybe we're not media members, I don't know, but I as those people that talk about and cover football on a regular basis, I wish we talked about guys like preferred walk-ons who earn their way up the totem pole, right? Because being a walk-on of any level is never easy.
Yeah, well, I think that's the essence of sport. I mean, that's what it's like, how far can you get? And I think that's what makes great stories, no question about it.
Yep, totally agree. And I think that, as we, again, we'll flip the camera around here for you so you guys can see exactly what's going on here as press conferences are about to get going here at Jarrah World. That's what the whole yard looks like today here at AT&T Stadium. It is wild to be here. And again, it's we deal with this Big 12 situation, and we start to really understand, what's going on with the Big 12 and the Pac-12. I think it's really interesting that when you see an event like this coming together and you start to understand that, yeah, man, this is the Big 12 operating on a huge level. And when you're at Jarrah World and you're at AT&T, I think it is unreal, the scope and size of this event. The TV networks that are here, every major TV network is here.
Pete Thamel's here.
Yeah, Pete Thamel is here. Oh, nice.
Yeah. Guys like that, just to put that in perspective, like those are the kind of guys that are here. Yeah,
I think when you look at those guys and you look at the national championship trophy being here today on the field at Jarrah World, like you just start to understand the enormity of the business that the Big 12 is doing. And I know we talk a lot and we're talking heads and we fill segments, but this is where it's on display. This is where you see the Big 12 leveraging those dollars. This is where you see the Big 12 leveraging those relationships so that you can grow the brand and you can get to Mexico and Rucker Park and you can recruit at a higher level. Because again, when you have moms on Twitter or on social media being proud of their kids, or you like, this is what matters. Miss Cameron's son is on the field at AT&T Stadium right now as a football player. That's pretty dang cool.
It is.
And you look at, Jahdae Barron or any of these other guys that we've talked to today, and you start to understand that, hey man, like this is their entire existence. Like they care so much, and the quality in the time that they put into this. This is why you come and pick the Big 12. And when we compare the Big 12 to the Pac-12, and this may seem simplistic or easy or whatever the words are you want to use, it's really unfortunate for the Pac-12 that they have lost all of this time.
Yeah.
A year of standing still, which actually, as you pointed out yesterday, means you're backsliding. A year of standing still, watching the Big 12 grow, watching the Big 12 extend its reach, watching it make more money, watching it do Mexico and Rucker Park and Dallas, and knowing that you're coming back here for Big 12 Pro Day, right? Knowing that you have a commercial division, knowing that you have a sales operation entirely dedicated to making the conference money.
Yes.
This is always why I say, how does the Pac-12 respond? Because I can tell you that the Pac-12, their media days, which we unfortunately will not be going to because it took way too long for them to announce it. So the planning cycle for us was not available to execute. And if we can't execute at a high level, we're not going to do it. But I've been to multiple Pac-12 media days. They're not like this. They are not this scope. They are not this size. They are not this well covered.
Yes.
And it's going to be really interesting this year. I'm sure all of the I don't know what's the vultures. I'm sure all of the vultures, but seriously,
Yeah.
I'm sure all of the vultures will be at Pac-12 Media Day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
sure that they will be there.
I think that Pac-12 Media Day is going to be, just full of tough questions because of the conference's situation, and everyone and their brother speculated that conference would have a media rights deal done, but they don't. And I think this is kind of where it starts to hurt you, because instead of like, we would never ask any player in the Big 12, hey, well, does a lack of media rights deal upset you? Does that hurt your recruiting? Did that bother you when you came to wherever you're playing for? You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of those questions that I feel like will get asked of players and coaches and folks who aren't in control of the media deal, that are going to need to answer that. And that's what I think is difficult, is like at Big 12 Media Day, we're just talking football, man. We're talking about football and life and Tiffany Air Force Ones,
yep.
and all these different things. And at Pac-12 Media Day, it's going to be a completely different vibe, because you're going to have this sort of dark cloud of the media rights deal / grant of rights hanging over your head. And I think, while yes, it's unfortunate, as I've said before, I do think the Pac-12 bears a significant fault and responsibility in that situation, because I just don't believe that they're in a spot where they just haven't been able to put a deal together. You could have had a deal, and you chose not
likely.
to.
Yeah, that seems likely. And I don't know how you fix that. I don't know how you address it. I really don't know. I don't know how the Pac-12 ever gets back.
Yeah.
I truly don't. And I know that we, today, obviously we're focused on the Big 12 and everything that the Big 12 is doing, but I really don't know how you get back at this point, because I just feel like you're so lost in the Pac-12. I don't know how you recruit. I don't know how you compete commercially. I truly don't know how you do that.
Yeah, I don't even know where the road starts back.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be defined by where the media rights deal comes in, and what the setup is. That's as like, I just don't know what else there is. Like, you're going to have to figure out, hey, how much are we getting per school per year? What's our total buyout going to be after the college football playoff? Like, we gotta know those things before we can do anything, really. And that's what I think is difficult, is like the Pac-12 is just in a no win type situation, because it doesn't, like, I would be shocked if just for the media rights deal you were past 25 million. If you want to say, hey, like, we're gonna get 40 million in total payout, okay, I guess that's great, but I can't see being happy with $25 million for your media rights deal and then struggling to get to 40. That's just not a great place to be.
Yeah, it's interesting. The Monty Show live at Big 12 Football Media Days in Dallas, as you're looking live at AT&T Stadium, presented by our good friends at BladeHQ.com. As we are waiting for press conferences to begin, so there will be a player lull. But we see the folks running around here. I have spotted Oklahoma State. All the mascots are here. I know the mascots are here.
Super exciting.
It's amazing. But yeah, we will continue to add guests to our lineups. But let's get your thoughts in here. Zombie Pac-10. Well, it's been that way. You know what, Big Jack? You joke, probably, but it truly has been that way for the better part of a year.
Yeah.
When you zombie's probably not the worst way to describe it, because you're not functioning. You're just trying to survive at this. again, the most ardent supporter, I think you would have to admit, you're just trying to survive at this point.
Yes.
It's not as though you are growing and thriving and living and loving, and because you're not. There's no way to do that. There's absolutely no way to do that.
Yeah.
So I think that is a very, very interesting point. By the way, real quick, like above us, obviously, you guys can see this huge jumbotron that this huge scoreboard presentation. It's hard to look at that thing. It is hard to look at that thing. And
it's up there.
It's awkward to my eyes. I don't know why, but it just seems awkward to my eyes. You look at that thing, dude. That is massive, and it's like hard to look at. It's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. Like the end boards are gorgeous. But man,
yeah, that
thing is huge. But there you go. A good look all the way around at AT&T Stadium.
It's beautiful.
It is the marvel that everybody makes it out to. If you've never been inside, it's ginormous.
Yeah.
It is one of the premier venues for a football game, and concerts and football games in here are unbelievable. But anyway, here nor there. Let's see. Bryce Martin says, imagine being a player looking up at that thing. Oh, I can't even. The punters try to hit it. I know, like, yeah, we've talked about that for a good long time. Big Jack says, go sit in the nosebleeds and look at it. It's incredible. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, if you're in one of those top rows, if you look on the right side of the screen there, if you're in one of those top rows, yeah, absolutely. It is for replays and for video and to see exactly what's going on. Yeah, absolutely. That's a big deal. As Mike Gundy is sitting right down here to our left, maybe we can steal coach. Who knows? But yeah, absolutely. I think if you are a spectator, there is no doubt that this place is an amazing place to watch a game. But again, I don't know how we get away from it today, or even this week. But I don't know that you can get away from talking about the Pac-12. I think it's awfully difficult to do that. Like it is, man, dude, it is really difficult when you look at this place and you see the buzz that's in here. I don't, if you're the Pac-12, I don't know what you do. I truly don't know what you do. So your thoughts on that are welcome. Would love your thoughts on Texas. Had a great conversation with Jade Barron today about the expectations. That'll be up on the channel later this afternoon. So absolutely make sure that you guys check that out. You can, all the interviews we do today here at Big 12 Media Day, thanks to our friends at BladeHQ.com, will be posted on the channel. So make sure you stick around for that. I think Oklahoma State is absolutely one of the, is one of the most interesting storylines in the Big 12. Like you look at Ollie Gordon, with a veteran offensive line, receivers that, turned over in the portal. Although, you look at what they brought in, and you kept Brennan Presley. So I think Oklahoma State's got some talent there, but I'm curious where Oklahoma State's defense is. You're going to a 3-3-5. I think it'll be very interesting to see where Colin Oliver, what happens with him shifting the linebacker, because very clearly, I mean, you move Colin Oliver to linebacker, you're trying to get the most out of him. You're trying to leverage him for more playmaking, and I think it'll be very interesting to see exactly what impact that has on Mike Gundy's defense, because I think one of the questions that you absolutely have to ask is, what does that 3-3-5 move mean if you are Oklahoma State? And I think when you look at is disappointment strong? I think disappointment's strong. It'll be interesting to see exactly where OSU goes, and how they rebound from what was definitely a disappointing year. And Mike Gundy's one of those guys I want to talk to about his, where he is and how he's feeling, because I think he is very clearly one of those guys that you really want to root for You really, because he's a personality, right? It is interesting to see how Alan Bowman is going to do. They're going to lean a lot more on Ollie Gordon, I think, than they will on Alan Bowman, because obviously he's bounced around a little bit. I think he's a known commodity. I think that when you look at Ollie Gordon, he's a guy that I think you have to believe that you can run the ball, right? Because if you don't run the ball in the Oklahoma State offense, I think you're going to be in a lot of trouble trying to rely on Bowman to throw you to wins. I think that's going to be a huge storyline, and I also think fan and sentiment's going to be huge. Conundrum. I agree with you 100%. Gundy's a straight shooter. Like that. That for me that's one of the things I really enjoy talking to him most. About just asking him direct questions, and getting a direct answer, which I think is really important. Because you don't hear that much. I think you're exactly right about that. Matt Hartley says disappointment is not too strong for the end of last season for OSU. Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. It is. If you win 9 games this year at Oklahoma State, not 9 games, is that a surprise? I think most people would say that's a surprise coming off of a 4-5 run and a 7-6 overall. When you come out of the gate, with an Iowa State team as your opening salvo, right? Because Central Arkansas, at Arizona State, South Alabama, at Iowa State, and then you go right into K-State, Kansas, West Virginia on the road, Cincinnati, Oklahoma, UCF, and Houston on the road, and then you finish with BYU and Stillwater, right? So I think their record, they're going to improve, but would 9 wins really be shocking? I don't think it would be that shocking. I truly don't think it'd be that shocking for Oklahoma State to win 9 games. I don't. I mean, you would think through those first 5, I would think that you would be 4-0 going to Ames, and then all bets are off. I mean, if you're 4-0 coming out of Ames, Iowa, if you beat Iowa State, coming home for K-State, now you got a game in October on ESPN. That's a huge game, primetime game, huge game. I would not be that surprised. Now, I would also not be surprised if they won 7, 8 games. I think 9's top of the mountain. I do. I think 9 is top of the mountain. It'll be very interesting to see how all of that plays out as we sit and watch and wait as press conferences are going on. But it's really good. It's really good to see the energy here. And I know I keep saying that, and I'll flip the camera back around. So I don't know if you guys are enjoying that shot or not, but it's very interesting to see the energy and the effort that is being put into making all of this happen. And I think it's really interesting that when you look at the Big 12 and you look at the job that they are doing, I think they're doing spectacularly well with energy and moving and keeping different people out here. And I think a lot of it is, frankly, that there's a lot of different TV. There's a lot of different radio here. So there's a lot of different flavors in life. You've got all the mascots running around on the field. They've done, as you guys were seeing a minute ago, they've done a really nice job with like the center scoreboard setup where they're going to have, all the press conferences, and all the different teams have setups around the outside. So I think they've done a really good job with this event, because I think this is one of the most critical seasons in Big 12 football that we've seen probably in the last decade, not only because of expansion, but because of how much instability there is in college football. So I think this season is really important to see exactly what we can get in total. What is the total Big 12 product look like? Because I think if the Big 12 is the quality product that we think it's going to be, and I think it's going to have a really big year in this conference, if only because I have high expectations for Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma is one of the most important teams in the conference. We've talked about that. I think that they need to be, top 5 at a minimum, right? But I think you need to be more than you need to be more than competitive. Oklahoma needs to win games, right? So I think that's a big deal. I think that's a huge talking point. But you know what? I think you can almost not go wrong if you have K-State, TCU, certainly Texas, who we've talked ad nauseum about, Oklahoma. You need those brands at the top of this conference. And I understand everybody's, wants to say like Oklahoma and Texas are leaving, but does that really matter? It doesn't matter. This year is all that matters. Elaine Tran says Venables won't win this year. See, I don't know if I'm buying in on that. I don't know that I'm buying in on that. I think that they did really well in recruiting and portal. I think you look at the way that team was bad last year, and I don't know that you could have avoided that. Outside of leaving Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams there, I don't know that you could have avoided that. I think you are asking an awful lot out of anybody coming in there to rebuild that program. And Brett Venables, to me, I think he has done a really good job. I think Brett Venables has done everything you could ask him to do since the last snap of the season to ensure that they win as many games as possible. You can't go winless in one-score games. Oklahoma was 0-5 last year in one-score games. Like, you're just not going to be able to do that. And that brings me back to Oklahoma State, right? Like, he hasn't had a losing record. Mike Gundy hasn't had a losing record since 2005. Think about that. That's remarkable, right? But I don't know that there have ever been this many doubters about Mike Gundy's team. It is. I think the schedule really helps them. They don't play Texas Tech, or TCU. I think Alec Bowman, Garrett Rangel, Zane Flores is somebody that nobody's talking about. Truly is Alan Bowman the guy at quarterback? I would expect him to be, right? I think you bring in a new defensive coordinator. It'll be interesting. You're transitioning a defense to a 3-3-5 with just two starters returning. That's really difficult. That is really difficult, and that's why I say, like, I wonder where Mike Gundy's at. I wonder, how energized is Mike? I wonder, how much power is left in the mullet, frankly. And how much time is it going to take? I think they could be a top 5 team or they could be a bottom 5 team in this league. But K-State, I think K-State's going to be very good. I think TCU is going to fall back a little bit. How would you not? But I say fall back. I think they're probably 4 or 5 in this league. Texas Tech, I think Texas Tech is going to have a massive season. I think, that when you look at what TCU did last year, why can't Texas Tech do what TCU did last year? Right? Because I don't think there's any doubt that when we use the word expectation, I think expectations are that you continue the momentum that you finished with last year. I think that's absolutely the minimum expectation. Offensive line's got to get better. Defense is obviously is something that McGuire's going to have to tune. They're going to have to get talented and better. You have 6 returning starters, I think it is, on defense. So you would expect them to be better. But if you think that Brett Venables is going to stand by and just get shellacked again, I wouldn't count on that. I absolutely would not count on that. Jeremy Callahan says K-State should be the favorite. Well, K-State, I don't know if K-State should be favored. I think that's strong. I think if I look at K-State, who's better, Oklahoma or K-State? That's a big question, right? I think that Cooper Beebe obviously is an All-American. I think when you look at, the defense has losses. I think who's the best defensive player? That's up for question marks. I think Deuce Vaughn is a huge deal. That's a loss you're going to feel. I don't know. K-State, you have a lot to replace on that defense. That's my biggest question. but we'll see what that turns into. Clint Moses says Texas versus Texas Tech, dark horse Baylor. Conference championship game, dark horse Baylor. I think Tech's got a real chance to go to the conference championship game. I would agree with that. Callahan, you're right about K-State's offensive line, no doubt. BR says Gundy seems very refreshed in everything I have seen and heard from insiders, much more than he has been in years past. Well, but again, I mean, you've got to have defense that can play, and you're changing schemes, and you've only got 2 starters coming back, dude. That's a big deal. I'm more focused on the defense than anything else. I mean, and that Colin Oliver move to linebacker's got to go well. It's got to go well. I mean, that because he's the guy that they're going to count on. They're going to count on Oliver to roam a little bit, make plays, use his intellect and intuition. Like, I think Mike Gundy always seems refreshed to me. Are there some negative twinges? Sure, of course there are. But I think we are now something else to think about. We are now at a place where Bedlam's dead, right? Like Oklahoma State, that's over with now. With the changes and the realignment, like that's over with now. This is a different way of life in this version of the Big 12. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how they do. I mean, I think Colin Oliver is a name that I would watch all through fall camp. And I think that's going to be something. And the other question, I guess, really that goes with Colin Oliver is, do they have corners that can cover? Because in this league, you're going to need them. So there's a lot of question marks. Two Mastas says, TCU, we coming for you. Well, I think everybody's got a bullseye on TCU. Bill G says, KSU is much better than OU. Get serious, Monty. I know it sounds crazy. You guys, again, I'm not willing to die on an Oklahoma hill here, but dude, there's a reason that people believe that Oklahoma's defense is much better because you have a defensive guy that dominated the portal. Oklahoma's defense is going to be good. I don't know, and maybe it's just a bias. I have no idea. I don't understand why so many people are quick to write off Oklahoma's defense with who their head coach is. That's a national championship level defensive mind. Prove it. Mint it. No question about it. How many dudes did he put in the NFL? And now he's went out. Brett Venables has went out and been aggressive in the portal. Like, if you're expecting that defense to be bad, I think you're crazy. I mean, it is. Obviously I have more questions about the offense and the defense. I think with Brett Venables, you can rely on that defense being better. I don't know. I think it's going to be very interesting to see what Dylan Gabriel and, hey, there's a lot of questions on offense in Norman. There is we can debate that. I'm happy to debate it. Let's see. Saul Goodman says Tech is going to lose on technicalities. Get it? See what he did there. Forward-thinking trucker. As a Texas fan, I'm only scared Texas Tech and Iowa State. The damn Cyclones play us best. Well, Iowa State's also interesting because a lot of people have Iowa State. I've seen them as low as 12, but I think I'm much more 8, 9, 10 on Iowa State. I think that Matt Campbell will not be down long. You're not gonna. He's too good of a coach, frankly, to bury that program and just forget that they existed. He had a bad year. There's no question he had a bad year at 4-8. Right? Like you. I mean, when's the last time they missed a bowl? 2015, 2016. Right. So I think that's going to be very interesting to watch. I think it is. What do you do with Xavier Hutchinson gone? I think that's a big deal. Iowa State's defense was certainly solid, more than solid last year. They only gave up 20 points a game. So it's not like Iowa State is a team that can't stop anybody. The questions are going to be offensive. right? 7 starters, you know, are that's absolutely a place where you can build on defense. You know, like it is. They've lost some guys off the edge, but college football is all about producing edge rushers. So I don't know. I think Iowa State's interesting. I don't have them at 10, 11, 12. I think that's ridiculous. I do. Well, Jake has decided to come back empty-handed. Very brave.
Okay, there's etiquette that we need to discuss.
What's that? What do you mean?
So, and sorry, I'm talking softly because we're surrounded by people, but
Mm-hmm.
but you don't keep a guy like Mike Gundy for 40 minutes at one table, because then what does Mike have to go and do?
Press conference.
Mike has to go and run, and none of us get to talk to him. So, you know, we're trying.
Hometown media, man. Hometown media gets advantages. I'm very much about 5 minutes at a time.
Well, I just think it's much like anything else in life. Like you want to respect the other outlets. I mean, it's just you don't need to do 40 minutes, which is what just happened. But anyway.
Yeah, and I'm sure it was 40 minutes of compelling content.
Yeah. So, you know.
You know, Elaine Tran says, watch out for Texas if Malik Murphy gets to play. I don't know. Let's see. Paxton says, who was Gundy with for 40 minutes?
An Oklahoma State radio station that I'm not going to name by
His
name.
hometown. It's fine. Let's see. Which table is Gundy at? Probably Robert Allen. No idea. Don't know. You know, Clint Moses says, haha, Jakey Two Holes.
Mm-hmm.
Iowa State had first-round edge rusher who was more of a basketball prospect in high school. Iowa State is a developmental program like K-State. But see, this is a philosophical thing. That's what this is. It's a philosophical thing. I think Iowa State is one of the most slandered programs in this conference.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, I understand it. I get it. Iowa State, it is what it is. Iowa State's going to beat some people that you don't think they can beat.
Right.
That's what I think. It is, to me, one of those deals where Iowa State and Matt Campbell, I'm a huge Matt Campbell guy. I'm a believer. I know I am one of the few. You've never heard me slander Iowa State. They had a terrible year last year. If they have another 4-8, if they have another 4-win season, okay, let's have a talk about what the hell is going on in Ames.
Yeah.
But I can't believe we're going to get another 4-win season. I don't think that's it. I don't even think it's possible. I truly don't believe it's possible.
Yeah. I mean, I would be surprised. I think everybody would be surprised, but isn't that why we're all sitting here saying it's not possible? Because, you know, you had a rough season. Like that's kind of the thing.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you had a really tough season and you wouldn't expect another tough season. But again, it's all about development and progression and handling your business. And clearly that didn't happen last year.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think there's a lot of, Paxton says Texas 6-6 delusional. Anybody that thinks Texas is 6-6 isn't paying attention.
Yeah.
I don't know where Texas losing 6 games is going to come from. Because I look at their schedule and I base their talent and their schedule. And they're beating Rice, Wyoming, Baylor, Kansas, Oklahoma, Houston, BYU. I think K-State. That TCU game on November 11th is a big one.
Yeah.
And the Texas Tech game, if it was in Lubbock, would be a problem. It's in Austin.
Yeah.
I think their one real trouble game is TCU at TCU on the November 11th. I think that's the one game where you're like, yeah, there's a good chance they're going to lose that game.
Yeah, I mean obviously TCU has some questions too, but obviously Sonny Dykes has shown the ability to get that program where it needs to go. And I think that anytime you lose talent, it's never a guarantee that you're going to backfill that talent. But I do think that when you went to a national championship, game, and you played decent but not great, I would think that same coaching staff, a lot of the same players. Like I wouldn't be surprised if they replicated on some level. I don't know about the national championship game, but yeah, looking at the schedule, yeah, I mean TCU is definitely a game that Texas you would think is gonna have to battle through, no doubt.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Texas, there's a lot of smoke around Texas.
Yeah.
Obviously, and I think people are tired of hearing about it, and I totally understand it. I totally get it. And I am just telling you, in my humble opinion, because we are humble and nice on this show.
Right.
You sons of bitches.
Right.
In my opinion, I think that Texas is going to be very good. I think Texas is going to be very, very good.
Yeah.
And I would be stunned. I would be absolutely stunned that it would be shocking to me if they were 6-6.
Yeah, that would be unacceptable. Someone's getting fired for 6-6. That's just, there's no question about that.
I don't know how you do that.
You're getting fired at that point.
Okay, I guess we take, is this where we...
I think we take a break here.
I think we take a break here. All right, so it is 11:30 in Dallas, 9:30 in Los Angeles, 12:30 in New York. Appreciate everybody being here. We will give us about 30 minutes. We'll come back because everybody's going to lunch. So we're going to take that break with them. We'll be back in about 30 minutes. Our coverage of Big 12 football media days is presented by our friends at BladeHQ.com. Until 30 minutes from now, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.